The U.S. presidential elections weren't immediately known.
Exactly, and some of us have been monitoring all night or all day, depending on where you are. And both incumbent President Donald Trump and his opponent Joe Biden expressed optimism during election night of a clear path to the necessary 270 electoral college votes.
That's right, Paul. Well, for more on that, we go to the Voice of America's correspondent, Nova Purwari in Washington, D.C.
Good morning or good evening, Mas Nova, where you are.
Good morning,
How are you?
Mas Nova. How are you?
Indonesia time. Very good. And actually, it actually has been one pundit said that the election could either be a blowout or a nail biter. It certainly turned out to be the latter, and we were looking at results and also monitoring developments until the early hours of the morning of Washington, D.C. time.
Now, the latest updates for that we've shown is basically Joe Biden needs one more state, which I believe is Nevada, is what we're waiting for in order to get his last 6 electoral votes. However, is there still a chance of the Trump camp turning this thing around? Anything for them to flip? Why don't you explain to us the latest possibilities?
Well, behind me is the Electoral College map that we also have on our website, voaindonesia.com, and it's being updated with real time when we can call the states. The most significant development today was when Wisconsin and Michigan were called. Now, this puts Joe Biden's lead in the Electoral College at 253 Electoral College votes compared to Donald Trump's 213 Electoral College votes. This puts him within 17 votes of the 270 needed to win. Now, where could he get those votes tonight? Nevada and Arizona might be states that can publish even more results, and combined, they provide exactly
Just
17.
enough, right? Yeah.
So he could reach the magic number tonight, but of course, Donald Trump still will try to maintain his lead, his temporary lead in North Carolina, which won't publish results, final results, until maybe next week. And also in Georgia, counting is still underway there. And also in Pennsylvania, which we've known for a while, will take a while, at least until Friday. So, aside from that, the Trump campaign is also looking to take legal action, including in Wisconsin, where the vote showed that Joe Biden was only ahead by around 20,000, which means it's less than 1%, which could trigger a recount.
Okay, tight race on that end. Were there any surprise states for you, Mas Nova, throughout this tally?
Well, one of the most surprising states is, of course, Arizona, which some have called for Joe Biden, but we haven't, and a lot of the other agencies have also not called for Joe Biden. All the other states were pretty much down the line red or expected to go red. Democrats were hoping for a blue wave this time, such as they experienced in 2018, when they retook control of the House of Representatives and also swept to power with a record number of women Democrats into Congress. They were hoping for that in places like Georgia, Texas, Florida. But of course, that didn't happen. And they were hoping that that would be a stronger message of repudiation against the president's policies. That didn't happen, but what's happening right now is a blue wall for Joe Biden in the Midwestern states near the Great Lakes, where Democrats used to enjoy a comfortable lead, but went broke for Donald Trump. States that I mentioned, like Wisconsin and Michigan, which now apparently have come back to the Democratic fold, have turned back blue, even though that's set to be challenged in the courts, Paul.
Yeah, we knew that would be a battleground in that blue wall area.
Well, definitely. Well, Mas Nova, back to our side of the world. Many Indonesians are probably wondering, depending on development, what does this mean for U.S.-Indonesian relations?
Well, Karina, it's interesting that foreign policy is usually rather detached from the results of the elections, even though foreign policy played a part in places like Florida. where there's a heavy Cuban American and Venezuelan American population. They like President Trump's policies in Venezuela and Cuba. They do not like the policies of Joe Biden and the Democrats, who they view as too close to the socialist policies of the countries they're from. But in terms of countries like Indonesia, usually it's such a bipartisan matter. There's usually continuity. Any U.S. administration come January is going to continue to court Indonesia, as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo did when he had his visit there recently, especially to counterbalance China, and also to make sure that Indonesia and Southeast Asia don't fall into the influence of China, whether in terms of the South China Sea and territorial tensions there, or in issues like 5G, where the U.S. does not consider Chinese 5G safe. But those are the continuities that are set to color Indonesian-U.S. relations, whoever is elected. But President Trump also holds an America First sort of approach to international politics. And we saw this when Indonesia's generalized system of preferences status was temporarily reviewed, although it was reinstated later. But this was this was a tense 2.5 years or so when it was under review. So you can expect a lot more of that with the Trump administration, and also other things where America is seen as being more unilateral rather than multilateral. Now, of course, one other factor to recognize is that the Congress, especially the Senate, also has a say in foreign policy. And had the Democrats gotten a blue wave like they wanted and took back control of the Senate, perhaps there would be more scrutiny on things like arms sales to Indonesia. When Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto visited Washington, D.C. not too long ago, there were protests from several people in Washington, D.C. Among others was a senior senator, Senator Patrick Leahy, who voiced his objection to the visit. And that's usually the case with a lot of Democratic senators and also Congress people, members of Congress, who are more likely to scrutinize human rights records and other controversial issues with regards to Indonesia, Karina and Paul. So those are the kinds of continuity and also change that we can expect. Joe Biden is known for being more of a traditional multilateralist kind of approach. So that would be the two different approaches of the two potential coming administrations.
All right, as we continue to head into the final results following this tally along, Mas Nova, can you tell us and give us a read a little bit about how the situation is there? I know we are getting close to the finish line. Have some people started celebrating or claimed victory where you are? I mean, obviously, still some ground to make up for Donald Trump and the Republican Party, but have you seen any sort of celebrations yet? And what is the situation like there this evening?
Well, no one seems to be popping open the champagne bottles yet. Even Joe Biden, he made a speech at Wilmington, Delaware, where he's based, and he basically did not claim victory, but he also said that the tally or the numbers that are coming in generally favor him. And as I mentioned, Nevada and Arizona could deliver a win for him tonight or sometime tomorrow. But of course, Donald Trump has also claimed victory last night, and he hasn't spoken to the media the whole day after the elections. But he's certainly been tweeting, and a lot of the tweets, Facebook and Twitter, who have been accused of doing nothing in terms of moderating news and also information on their platforms, have now taken a rather more proactive stance, and a lot of President Trump's tweets, which alleged fraud or that he'd won certain states, were either taken down or got a warning on Twitter. And so this is both sides seem to be celebrating or be kind of optimistic that each side is going to win. And of course, we still have to wait for the legal process, which could begin next week in places like Wisconsin, Michigan also. President Trump is trying to get the counting stopped in Pennsylvania, and a lot of the votes that haven't been counted are considered to be from Democrats because most of them voted early. So that's happening. The dynamics are there, and also in Georgia, several polling stations around Atlanta, which is sort of like a blue oasis among a sea of red, have also not been counted. So both sides are still cautiously optimistic, but we're certainly seeing an improved mood among Democrats after an election night that seemed like a deja vu sort of 2016.
Yeah, very
the upset victory
similar.
Of Donald Trump.
Some similar notes to it, definitely, Mas Nova. Thank you so much. Always insightful to chat with you and catch up with you. But I know you've had a long last couple of days. Hope you get able to get some rest at least tonight, where you are all the way live from Washington D.C. Thank you again, Mas Nova.